Welcome to the Persecution Report. I'm Greg Musselman. Coming up, converting from Islam to Christianity in Afghanistan can be very dangerous.
When they put a knife to my neck, I thought God had appointed this as my time to die.
Also, the Uyghur house church leaders face intimidation and imprisonment in Western China. Later.
They forced me to renounce Christ, but I said no way.
Since leaving Islam for Christianity, this man has lived a risky life. Those stories and more on the Persecution Report. 30-year-old pastor Jean Carlos Salazar, his 33-year-old wife Ingrid, and their young daughter were brutally murdered in the town of El Tigrito, Anjoac, Tojuí State in Venezuela by suspected satanic cult members. That's according to a report from Latin American Herald Tribune. In the middle of the night, neighbors of the Salazars noticed that the family home was in flames and phoned the fire department. When the fire officials arrived, they found the decapitated bodies of the family. The assailants reportedly also painted satanic slogans on the walls. Pastor Salazar was a preacher at the World Center of Peace Church and was well known in the area. Please pray for those who are grieving the loss of these Christians. Not only have Pakistani converts to Christianity been terrorized by the Taliban, as we reported in previous programs, but in neighboring Afghanistan, a Muslim background believer was nearly beheaded by the Al-Qaeda. Gary Lane reports.
When they put a knife to my neck, I thought God had appointed this as my time to die.
So Fareed began to pray. We've renamed the evangelist and have hidden his identity. Fareed says 6 terrorists armed with a knife and automatic weapons stormed into his pre-dawn prayer meeting several years ago. They were angry because he was leading Afghans to Christ. He says as he continued to pray, God spoke and told him to leave the room.
When I stood up after praying and went to go out, 2 men were blocking the doorway and said, "You cannot leave." One of the men shot at me with his Kalashnikov. The gun jammed. He put another clip in and shot again, but it still did not shoot.
Fareed and the other Christians escaped unharmed. Police captured the terrorists and made an amazing discovery. Fareed says the police told him the terrorists were planning to behead him. And just like Al-Qaeda in Iraq, they planned to send a videotape of the execution to Al Jazeera television.
This is a Muslim country, and they wanted missionaries to know, if they come here and preach, we are going to kill them.
Unafraid, Fareed quietly continues his evangelistic work among the Muslims of Afghanistan.
Gary Lane with that report. Malaysia bills itself as a moderate Islamic country. But today, powerful forces are trying to make it into a strict Islamic state, which has Malaysian Christians seriously concerned about the future of religious freedom.
They forced me to renounce Christ, but I said no way.
Daniel is a young Malaysian who has lived a secret and sometimes dangerous life.
I've been threatened with death so many times by radical Muslims, but by the grace of God, I'm still alive.
Daniel, not his real name, and his voice changed for security reasons, says he was once taken into a cell and beaten by militant Muslims. Daniel converted from Islam to Christianity in 1998.
Under the Islamic laws of my country, the authorities can arrest me for my conversion.
Malaysians attempting to leave Islam has become one of the most controversial issues in this country. The debate erupted in 2007 when Malaysia's highest court rejected a Muslim convert's battle to be legally recognized as a Christian.
Was the Lena Joy case a turning point in this whole crisis in your country?
Yeah, it was a turning point in the wrong direction.
Malik Imtiaz Sawar, a well-known human rights lawyer and a Muslim, presented a brief in support of Miss Lena Joy's conversion case.
It crystallized a legal basis to implement the kind of measures that we say are undermining of the entire societal framework of this country. Lena Joy was a bad decision, a very, very bad decision.
A decision that forced Lena Joy to flee from the country. Meanwhile, Sawar's support for Joy has made him a wanted man. Posters carrying his picture circulated calling for his death. He's been branded an Islamic traitor because he believes that Malaysians should be free to choose their own religion.
The freedom is to profess. And once one professes, and this is even in the Quran, it is for that person and God after that.
Malay Muslims make up 60% of the population. The rest are Christians, Hindus, and Buddhists. The Malaysian constitution guarantees freedom of religion. But today's non-Muslims fear those freedoms are being curtailed by those who want to turn Malaysia into an Islamic state.
The extreme fundamentalists tend to believe that the laws of Malaysia must be Sharia compliance.
Wong Kim Kong is the head of the National Evangelical Christian Fellowship. He says there's been a subtle and gradual encroachment by militant Muslims in the affairs and rights of Christians. Officers of the Malay Internal Security's Religious Department raided several Christian bookstores recently and seized children's books, claiming they violated Islamic Sharia law. Still to come on the persecution report, the challenges facing Uyghur Christians in China. If you live in Canada and don't yet receive our free monthly newsletter about today's persecuted church, sign up today at the top right of the screen or go to persecution.net. There's simply no better way to learn about the faith and courage of our brothers and sisters around the world and how you can stand together with them. And you can also share the newsletter with friends and family. Sign up today.